as you can see here, I drew a little bit of an outline of the hole for the mount to go in. Don't mind the trash, sorry, it's so dirty in here. So what I did, I started with a smaller hole, and then I'm going to trim it back a little bit, just so I can create the flaps here to go in. I didn't want to cut the hole out, like just completely cut it out, just in case the material doesn't fit right. It gives me a little bit of extra play with it. But as you can see, if you look inside, you're going to see the inside of the dash here. See some wiring. This is the AC ducting here. You can see the airbag mechanism there, that aluminum box. If you look down, that's the next vent down. That's this vent here. So we're gonna have to trim this back to a point, and when I fill in here, it's gonna be really close. May not have to move that one, but I may have to move that one. So as you can see, I cut it open, and then we're going to trim out the rest of this. So I will see you back in just a minute. All right, so I cut some slits here on each of the corners. This way I can peel this back a little bit without peeling everything back. Just allows me to peel it back just enough. Alright, so this will be my first attempt at making a mold for this surround, for this in-dash double din in the S2000. I'm using an epoxy stick. This is the Gorilla epoxy stick, and this is actually JB Weld plastic weld. So I just got both. This one's a all-purpose one. The JB Weld was a plastic weld, so I should be able to use them together. So we will find out. I maxed off the area where I'm going to be using this so it doesn't stick to the dashboard. So it is fairly hard right now, that you can see. So we're gonna see how hard that gets and let it cure. It says that it is sandable, so we are going to let that really harden up and see if I can sand it. I also have a little bit of Bondo to smooth it out, and if I can get it to the right place, I'll smooth it out, sand it down, smooth it out, and then paint it. I'll just paint it like a matte black color, or satin matte to match that, so it'll blend in. So that's what the first attempt looks like. We're gonna try this out. I've never used epoxy putty like this in this way. Saw some guy on YouTube do it, but he didn't say exactly what he used, so I'm just gonna assume it was something like that. This is the closest thing that I could find, so we're gonna see how this works. Well, I will report back as soon as I am complete with this. I will update if I get a chance to before then, but hopefully this goes well. So I think I may seal up the bottom down here as well. This is kind of a good grab point, but I may seal that up as well and just figure out another way to pop this on and off. This bezel is actually sorry about that, car was going by. This bezel is actually the JDM OEM bezel, and then behind this unit here is actually the bracket for it. So I'm using that as a template, so to speak, to make this work. So we're gonna see how this goes. Hopefully it goes really well and fits in there nice. So we will see. Catch you guys later. So we got a progress update. So as you can see here, I was able to mold most of it. I still got a few spots to take care of, like these little indentions here. I'm gonna use some spot putty, some glazing putty, and smooth those out to a smooth finish before I paint this. And I'm just going to paint it in trim black, nothing crazy, but as you can see, it fits around there. I had to trim for the opening here, and I think I'm gonna trim a little more just so that comes down like that a little more. So you can see that there, but that's blended into there. And basically this is epoxy putty on the bottom as like the base, and then I used some all-purpose Bondo to kind of smooth out and fill in and make this kind of shape and contour here, which is pretty hard. So I think once it's painted and everything, it really shouldn't go anywhere. And going to smooth it out, and then we will see kind of where it goes from there. You can see from the side that it looks a lot better than it did before. Like in this picture here, you can see the gaps around it, but you know, this is actually going to make this look so much better in this car. Once this is, you know, fully painted and on, it'll actually look pretty nice. So just want to give an update again on how this is going to look, and it's contoured to the dash. I used just some masking tape to put on the dash before I put the epoxy down. You can use, I'd probably recommend like some really non-stick painter's tape, either that or some aluminum foil or something like that. Very similar process to fiberglass. I didn't want to do fiberglass. The putty sticks were just really easy to get, and I did this, you know, fairly easy without a lot of tools. So we're gonna see how this is going to turn out, and hopefully give you an update here soon on to how this is going to look and turn out. So I will see you soon. So as you can see here, the faceplate is on, and as you notice, it looks fairly dark. And if you have a keen eye, you'll notice it is wrapped in some sort of fabric. That is because I messed it up. So I was painting and smoothing, or rather smoothing, then painting this piece so it could go back in the car. And I decided, I had the bright idea of, I'm gonna warm it up just a little bit to cure it, to help it set in a little bit better, and that went totally wrong. I turned the oven on and turned it up too high and got sidetracked talking to somebody else, and I ended up almost melting this whole piece. So I was able to salvage what was left, and so for the most part, it was salvageable. So what I ended up doing was I had some like velvet material laying around at home. So I actually decided to wrap it in that because it looked better than the end result of my baking adventure. So it doesn't look too terrible, but it is going to have to be redone. So eventually I am going to order a new piece. And what I did was I used the template of the JDM OEM bezel to kind of help me shape the piece. So I'm going to use that again because it works fairly well until I can make a mold of this. I can't make a mold of it now because, sorry about that, my dash cam decided it wanted to speak. But once I get a new piece and I'm able to shape it a little bit more, on the second attempt, I'm going to make a mold of it. That way, if I decide to do this in the future, or if somebody decides they want to do this same thing, I don't know, I might even start selling them. Wink, wink. But yeah, so this is an update to the video. It actually turned out kind of okay. It's not extremely terrible, but it is not exactly perfect and exactly how I actually want it to end up being. I would have liked to paint it and possibly get a finish like this, or I may just redo this piece as well, the surround of that, and repaint it. If I could find like some, you know, rubberized black paint that holds up well, I'll probably end up finishing all these trim pieces in that just to update the interior. Outside of that, it turned out okay. It's livable for now, but I will be doing a second piece, a second attempt, and it might be shaped even different than this. But again, this is my first attempt at this and trying to make this fit. I got the JDM bezel on, and it had a ton of gaps, as it's not made for the US market, because we didn't get the option for navigation here. So only in right-hand drive cars. But the odd thing is that the dash still has the provisions behind the cover once you cut out to put the OEM bezel on, although it just doesn't fit right. And this was my attempt to make it look a little better and fit a little better. Next time I will be doing something a little different. I might even do a custom in-dash bracket, now that I know what the spacing and stuff looks like behind it. This is an Alpine mechanical-less unit, so it's only about 2.5 inches deep. So it's fairly shallow, and a lot of new mechless units are coming on the market that have a lot of good options. So I really don't see a need for like a DVD unit unless you just absolutely have to have DVDs, and then you would need to trim the AC ducting that runs behind the dash. But this is how the faceplate turned out. So I will be back on the second attempt hopefully soon, and we'll try a look at that one. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more videos. We'll have more videos coming up, some more things on this particular car and some other cars as well. So hopefully we'll see you soon. My links to my other social media accounts, namely my Instagram account, is below. So don't forget to subscribe to that, and we'll catch you in the next video.